Hi, Palm Bay. I'm Ron Medina, your candidate for mayor. With your support, when elected, we will immediately move forward to take the necessary actions to restore transparency, to restore accountability, responsibility, and the respect of our beloved city. It's evident through recent audit findings and oversights meeting in Tallahassee that our city has engaged in financial decisions that clearly have put our citizens and our financial stability at risk. The headlines of our city once promoted a city that cares, finalists for a City of the Year, and a community with a great future. Now, today, the headlines promote our city as one with escalating crime, an interchange to nowhere, mismanagement, state-imposed audits, and playgrounds closing due to equipment being unsafe. We must stop this downward spiral of our once financial secured, beautiful community. We drive through flooded roads, potholes, and traffic jams. I pledge to you as your next mayor, I will shine light on these past budgets along with the poor decisions made so we can get the answers our citizens deserve and our state leaders demand. I encourage a forensic audit of all our city operations so we can bring all these things to light. This process will not be easy, but our future and that of our children depend on each and every one of us, ensuring accountability, ensuring professionalism, immediately replacing finger pointing, mismanagement, the rubber stamp process that brought this audit upon us. There are many serious questions. The business and residents of our cities deserve a government that they can trust and believe in. It is important to address these issues head on, for they've made a target of ridicule and skepticism from our surrounding neighbors and our very own residents. This will require strong leadership, transparent and sensible policy decisions, and constant commitment to ethical conduct. As mayor, my first goal will be to restore trust in our government. Government for the people, by the people. This is truly an opportunity for leadership by example. And as your mayor, I pledge to you that if I vote to approve a contract with a company to do business with our city, I will prohibit myself from receiving any future campaign funds from that said company. And I will encourage our council members to do the same. I believe as elected officials, we're held to a higher standard. The citizens of Palm Bay will be my only priority. We will address the many concerns of the finding of the state audit and encourage the open participation of our residents to provide oversight in our budget process. Hashtag the public trust. For a better Palm Bay, elect Rob Medina. May God bless you. May God continue to bless this great city we call Palm Bay. Hoorah! Hoorah!
Palm Bay and our surrounding communities, I would like to thank you for your tremendous support. As we move into the fall months, Palm Bay Live is seeking your support so we can continue to deliver valuable programming. Your monetary donations will help us so we can achieve those goals. You can donate online at www.palmbaylive.com. Advertisers are also welcome. Palm Bay Live is a non-profit organization. Thank you for your continued support.
Who am I? I'm someone that believes in community and that dedicates hundreds of hours every year to serving the people of Brevard. Who am I? I'm a scholar that supports and believes in education, that donates countless dollars and hours to helping scholars learn, grow, and be better for our future. Who am I? I'm an advocate that stands up for those who can't stand up for themselves and that protects and defends the Constitution every single day. I'm Alton Edmond, and I'm running for Brevard County Sheriff. It's time for change.
Hello, Palm Bay. Welcome to another edition of Palm Bay in the News. The City of Palm Bay would like to remind residents that on October 1st, Republic Services will take over trash and recyclable services here in the city of Palm Bay. A postcard was sent out to each resident home with your new schedule. On October 1st, residents can call 321-989-6030 to ask any questions about your new services. Attention realtors, we would like to feature your listing or your services in a new show set to premiere in the upcoming weeks. Please contact Kevin at palmbaylive.com for further information. Voters are reminded that the final date to register to vote is Monday, October 5th. For more information, visit votebrevard.com. Here are some upcoming events for the month of October. Thanks for watching Palm Bay in the News. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Have yourself a good day.
For nearly 60 years, most politicians running for office in Palm Bay promised to fix the city's failing roads. In 2017, armed with a plan, Thomas Gaum and a small team of residents set out to accomplish this enormous task.
The need for alternate paths that are smoother than the roads, and the term grassfault will soon be a distant memory.
Tom believes in duplicating success. He started by visiting Northport, Florida, a GDC community exactly half the size of Palm Bay. Northport successfully fixed their roads with a road bond referendum, and Tom made several trips to Northport to fully understand the process.
In the 2018 election, 66% of Palm Bay voters approved a $150 million bond referendum. Now we're turning our failed roads into an economic engine to diversify our tax base and lure commercial businesses,
while at the same time looking out for the environment and the delicate ecosystem we call home.
That's what sets Thomas Gaum apart. He solves problems by creating teams of citizens to conquer even the most difficult issues. You might say that Tom is the man with a plan. Vote Thomas Gaum for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3 on November 3rd. For your family, your property, and our future.
Approved and paid for by Thomas Gaum for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3 and Artisan.
Hello Palm Bay, I am Kay Mirage and I'm running to be your next mayor. I currently sit on the Planning and Zoning Board as well as our Community Development Advisory Board. I'm a mom, I'm a small business owner, and I've been married to my husband Lynn Bolt for 19 years. And together we have an amazing 17-year-old son who's about to head off to college. Palm Bay needs fresh, bold leadership, one who is an embracer of change, diversity, and inclusion, who is proactive and thinks outside the box. They need to be free from conflicts of interest and owes no favors to the who's who. Our next mayor should be informed and have a true understanding of the issues and be ready with plans to help solve them. They must be open to have dialogue with you and empathize with your concerns. I am that leader. I'm ready to work with council to earn back public trust, bring transparency and accountability to all levels of city government. I am your voice, and I'm that unifying force that is ready to guide our city towards smart growth and a very successful future. For more information, visit palmbayk.com. Vote K Mirage for Palm Bay Mayor. K is the right choice for Palm Bay. I'm K Mirage and I approve this message.
A Christian, husband, father, long-term Palm Bay resident, small business owner, real estate investor, builder, humanitarian, has served as executive board member of multiple local non-profit organizations. He's currently serving on the City of Palm Bay Planning and Zoning Board and also the Vice Chairman of the Palm Bay Park and Recreation Advisory Board. He's experienced in city affairs and ready to go on day one. That's Donnie Felix. He stands for transparency, a strong infrastructure, supporting city staff, first responders, fire and police, diverse and affordable housing, small businesses and good-paying jobs, economic growth and sustainability for Palm Bay, and also a healthy environment for integrity, diversity, and service. Vote for Donnie Felix for Palm Bay City Council C2.
My name is Donnie J. Felix, and I approve this message. Hello, Palm Bay. Randy Foster, candidate for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3. This political advertisement is approved and paid for by Randy Foster, candidate for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3. Public safety is important. As a councilman, that should be the #1 priority when you come in office, public safety. And the people who provide that safety, who serve and protect, is Palm Bay Police Department and Palm Bay Fire Department. I went through a 2-hour process for each interview for an endorsement with Palm Bay Police and the Fire Department. The Palm Bay Fraternal Order Police, Lodge 111, endorsed me. Also, Palm Bay Fire Department endorsed me for the City Council Seat 3. My opponent decided not to go in front of them. He decided to go to the Space Coast Association of Realtors. Has nothing to do with public safety, and none of them probably works in Palm Bay. But I would have took the time out if I was him. And here are the men and women that serves and protect and keep you safe at home. So remember this when you go to the polls in November. If your brother, your sister, your uncle, your father, your cousin, your friend is a police officer in Palm Bay or a fighter, my opponent don't care what they're going through as a candidate running for office. I do. That's why they endorse me. Thank you, Palm Bay. And remember, I'm the only one with law enforcement experience and a history of providing safety throughout the public, throughout these United States. Vote randyfoster.com. Vote for Randy Foster, a true leader. Thank you.
Good evening, Palm Bay, and welcome to Palm Bay Live, another edition of Palm Bay Live. Tonight, I have Mayor Capote with me in the studio. But before I bring Mayor Capote on the screen, I need to address some issues, some concerns that I see on social media. The first thing I want to address is I know there's been questions regards to the recent bribery scandal, alleged bribery scandal. And there was questions in regards to why I haven't written a story on this yet. First of all, I want to say publicly, and I need to make this known, when the story broke, I was not in the position to write a story because I was in South Florida attending to a funeral. My Nana passed away, and I had to, so my weekend was pretty much dealing with family matters. So I just need to clear this up so everyone is aware that's what happened. Secondly, we want to talk about the Mr. Burns issue. Why am I bringing him on the show? Well, I need to heal. We need to heal. As a community, I think it's time for us to heal. The back and forth bickering between Mr. Fine and Randy and Mr. Burns is going on too long. And I think this will bring us closure so we can move on from this situation. So we need to find a way, a medium to pretty much exhaust all the different angles to find out exactly why we're here, why we're in this place. And I figure this is the best opportunity to get it done. So I want my city to strive. I mean, if anybody knows anything about me, I love my city, and I do not like the back and forth antics that I see go on. And so this is something that I think that needs to be done in order for us to move forward. There's greater days ahead for Palm Bay, and this is the way to get it done. So without further ado, let me bring on Mr. Capote onto the screen, and let's take this, move this along.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, sir. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Okay, great. I needed to take care of those housekeeping matters so we can
Yeah, so you have a lot of commercials.
Yeah, we had a lot of commercials too as well. Yes, sir. Okay, great. Welcome to the program. We know who you are. You're the mayor of Palm Bay. But tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself, sir.
Can you repeat your question again?
Tell us about yourself.
I guess, where do you want me to start, really?
Educational background and why you're running for the commission seat.
Just to bring something different to the commission. it's the commission right now has a certain way of thinking, if you could tell from the pandemic. And I think I could bring fresh ideas. The vision that I've been able to bring to the city of Palm Bay. I mean, you're going to have people that like you and dislike you. That's part of this business. I don't let that bother me. People are going to take stands. And like we were talking before, behind the scenes in your show, is that people pick sides. And whether you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, and Green Party, you name it. And then they pick a friend. And my friend is better than your friend. And I'm going to talk about you because that's something to do. And social media has empowered people to say whatever they feel, regardless of whether they hurt someone or not. It's become very toxic. I feel for those people that don't have turtle shells or alligator skin or whatever other type of skin you could have. I've been part of this community since 1994. I ran for office the first time in 1996, then again in 98. I stayed away from politics, went back to school, finished my bachelor's, then finished my master's as I came on council in 2008 as a councilman. It took me on my fourth try to get elected. Then residents started asking me to run for mayor, and I did in 2012. And good fortune, I was voted on to be the mayor of Palm Bay, and then reelected in 2016. So the show is coming to a close, and I'm okay with that because I didn't think I was going to be here forever. So the reality is I'm trying to offer the county the experience that I have and take it from there. I'm a simple man.
Okay, so
It takes too much to rattle me.
So what do you do as a city commissioner that is not being done now?
I mean, you oversee a lot more ground within the county. You protect the interests of the areas that you are supposed to represent, but you also represent the whole entire county. I think that this county has a lot to offer. You have the 5 portals of travel, and I think that emphasizing one of those portals, which is space, could continue to bring businesses into the area, especially to Palm Bay, because we have such a large community. The space program, with the movement towards the moon again, and then Mars, we're looking at a community, a county that's different than any county in the United States of America. I think the only county that has experienced financial growth to that height was the Silicon Valley, close to San Francisco. I think that we could position ourselves the same way when it comes to aerospace, because it's the future. I mean, what we're communicating today is the help of satellites that are in space, and the vision of those people that were the pioneers at the beginning, and now the future that comes next. We need to stress and continue to support, not just locally, but try to get more support federally for the space program, NASA, and that'll help us deal with a lot of the issues of infrastructure, the tourism that are coming to the area, our Indian River Lagoon, taking care of that. So there's a lot of issues at hand. People ask me the question, why are you running? I say I'm running because my opponent and I, we have different philosophies of how to govern. And that's okay. I mean, that's okay. And people have the choice. They have the choice to select. Either they're going to select Capote or they're going to select Snarty. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to stand here and attack and go into attack mode, because that's not who I am. I allow people to make a choice, and make your choice. We all have, you're either a Yankee fan or you're a Dallas fan, or you're some kind of fan. And when you're a fan, you tend to be very passionate. And I do have people that are fan of mine, and those are the ones that continue, that were the ones to motivate me to run. So I'm here to be a public servant.
Okay.
Palm Bay, a lot of people use a lot of sound bites against Palm Bay, but the reality is that, you know, Palm Bay is in a strong position regionally to be a beacon with all the negativity that surrounds it. And people need to understand, especially the candidates that are running, that it's easy to put stuff on your literature. It's easy to make videos. It's once you got to do the job and you got to make the tough decisions. That's when you separate the men from the boys, or the girls from the women. It's two different perspectives altogether. Doing the job and running for the position are two different things. What you think you could do as a candidate and what you actually can do as an elected official are two different things. And you got to get consensus. You got to be willing to work with other people on council that have similar visions to be able to get things there. And in life, things happen, and that's the reality of this.
Okay. You talk about critics. So one of the areas that has come under scrutiny is your management style. So let's talk about that. I mean,
my management style. Okay.
Let's talk about that. Do you
okay.
think there's something you could have done differently in the way you manage things?
I mean, remember, and that's what people tend to forget. If I was allowed to be the administrator of the city, I would manage totally different, but I'm not allowed to by charter. Now, you can't criticize me for calling people out, because that's the only power I have. Okay, and I don't count votes. When I see something wrong, I say it. If I need to write a letter because the city manager's not doing their job, I'm not afraid to. But people sometimes get afraid to do so because you're sitting on an island by yourself when you write a letter, and you got to take the scrutiny of the residents, of sometimes of the council people and stuff. But I'm not that guy that fears things like that. It's not, you know, I came here as a young man, 8 years old, from Cuba. I had to learn the language. I grew up in New Jersey, Hoboken, New Jersey. It's an urban setting. It's not for the weak-hearted. You either have it or you don't. And I've always carried myself that way. You're supposed to lead. People vote you to lead. People don't vote for you to be fearful if residents or developers are threatening you. You have to make a decision. You cannot be scared that if you make that decision that you're going to get some residents afraid and that you're going to be voted out of office. That's not how I lead. That's not how I govern. And if that draws criticism, that's the reality of life. Everybody's going to be criticized.
Okay. All right. Let's move forward to recent incidents.
Okay.
All right. So on Friday, I talked about it, the show, and you wrote about a potential bribery situation, alleged bribery that took place.
That's the key word, alleged.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of your critics believe that you're implicated in it and that you should step down.
It's funny.
These questions are coming not only from me but from residents as well. So and I should have told you that at the top of the show. So we do encourage residents to submit questions. So I have to. No,
I understand, Kevin. You got to ask me now. Let me answer you. Okay. Just because my name appears on an affidavit doesn't mean I did anything wrong. If you go back to the discussion that you're talking about, Plantation Circle, I've been as transparent with Plantation Circle as I could be. I've spoken to the residents. I've told them my position, and prior, and I've always historically never talked prior to rendering a vote. Once I rendered the vote, Plantation Circle's citizens came to me and they spoke to me about why I had such a position. And I said, because Babcock is a commercial corridor. The city of Palm Bay, through its history, has made mistakes in certain of our corridors, to include Malabar, to include Palm Bay Road, because I was giving this example to somebody today. I said, if you sit, and this I had with, he passed away, our growth management director, David Watkins, because when the thought process was going into Hammond's Landing, and Hammond's Landing was getting built, okay, I said to David, I said, Dave, why didn't we protect outside? I said, no, because at the time, I guess the council and the residents thought that we were going to be a bedroom community. So we allowed outside of the equation, the south side of Palm Bay Road, to be put residential. But that side should have never been residential. That side should have been protected for commercial. The only commercial we have on our side is D.R. Horton, the medical building, and the storage, and now the giant recreational work. So it's about having a vision and understanding that we need to work on a comprehensive plan. And sometimes I like making statements that are not popular, and because you have to make them. You have to say your philosophies. Some people are afraid to speak up. That's not me. And if people feel that that's poor leadership, I don't know. But the reality of the matter, the administration, I've seen the different posts. Okay, when it comes to the pandemic and everything else, I wanted to communicate with the community as often as possible, because I saw my colleagues in Orange County, Volusia County, okay, and Osceola on TV talking, and I approached the city manager about that. But I don't understand why people fear to be on TV or speak about what's going on. That was the same thing that was going on in the county. The county wasn't funneling information to the public the right way. Sometimes people don't understand the dynamics of the city charter and how we govern. We have a council, city manager form of government. The city manager is the administrator. The city manager has to execute. And if the city manager doesn't decide to do these things, the only recourse we have is to, as a council, is to make a decision together, or as mayor, for me to inform council something is not right. You know, this pandemic is really bad, and the person in charge is not doing the proper things to protect City Hall and the residents. And when you have all that information in your hand, okay, and you make decisions, but when the public is looking, all they're looking is from the outside. They're not in the trenches. They're not looking at you in a good light, because they have developed a relationship with that person. So now you're become evil. You're the evil person that's trying to fire somebody.
Okay, so we kind of to the COVID-19 question that I had for you. So I will eliminate that question, but I will ask you this. Since you brought it up, is there something that you figure you could have done better in the management of that whole situation? Because I remember when it happened, and I looked it up at the time when I was reviewing it to see, you know, who's really supposed to be the one speaking. Basically what I found out from looking at the charter was that the city manager needs to be upfront. And so, and I noticed that you were being attacked rigorously. And but a lot of folks, I guess, didn't do the homework that I did to ascertain, you know, who really should be the one at the mic. With that,
it becomes a partnership. And if you're in a partnership with someone and you're talking to them, because even prior to the pandemic, before we shut down City Hall, I sat down with the charter officers and I spoke with them. And I asked this former city manager, what is your plan? And there wasn't like a real plan per se, because there was no talk about doing Facebook Live, engaging the media, doing any type of those things. And then what transpired is that we closed City Hall, and we closed City Hall on Friday, and by Monday, people were walking into City Hall when we had told people that City Hall was going to be shut down. People were being allowed into City Hall. And employees didn't have masks, didn't have gloves, didn't have sanitizer. There was no true preparation to deal with it. And that was the upsetting part of it, because the backlash falls on myself and council. And I was just gonna not sit there and be idle, because the attacks were coming, because most people believe that Palm Bay is a strong mayor form of government, so they automatically come at the mayor. The mayor should be communicating. The mayor should, I don't think that I don't see the conversations. I just don't engage because there's no need to, because the reality is that people are gonna have their opinion. And when people get tunnel vision and they only see what they want to see, it is hard to talk them off the ledge. I've been doing this long enough to understand that if you get into a conversation with someone and that person has already made up their mind what their perception of you is, there is no way to walk them off that ledge. That ledge is that ledge. And you have to be smart about the things you do. That's really in a nutshell in regards to that. But going back, because I really wanted to answer your question, because I touched on it when it came to Plantation Circle. It's disheartening to see people just go up in arms and not all the facts are out yet in the realm of things. The reality is that some people become opportunists and try to attack other people just because they know they could, because the soundbite sells. But I'm a true believer that if your house is not made of glass, then throw that stone. Simplistic as I could put it. If your house is not made of glass, then throw that first stone.
Okay, so let's continue. We're going to come back to the COVID questions here in a second. But let's talk about, because there's another question. This is a resident question. They asked, do you believe that Councilman Johnson should be suspended? This is
the deputy mayor be suspended for what?
I'm just asking the questions.
What should he be suspended for? What has he done? That's what I'm trying to say. What people come up with things and don't understand. In order to remove a council person, the council person has to do something so extreme, or a mayor, where the governor steps in and removes you. And people want to just become passionate and say things that is unheard of. Why should the deputy mayor be removed? For what? What did he do? He spoke to someone. He spoke to a developer. He spoke to the residents from Plantation Circle. How many people we talk to on a daily basis, and developers that want to meet with us because they want 5 minutes of our time or whatever, half hour, to kind of talk to us about a project. And that happens in a daily business. It's just like I was telling someone. I mean, everybody sits there criticizing developers. But let me give you a notion about a developer. For the most part, most developers don't live in the city. Okay, for the most part, they're coming to invest in your city. Okay, what I have seen over the years as a resident and as an elected official, is the fact that residents, when they become very passionate, they start threatening council members if they don't vote a certain way. And those same residents donate to councilmen's campaigns and mayor's campaigns. So it's a balancing act. And because the residents live in your city, it's a stronger voice to stop you from a vote.
All right.
Even though that I've seen it. Even though that that the project is a good project, you won't vote for it because you're afraid that you're not gonna get reelected. So don't tell me that people don't get swayed by the residents, because it has happened. And when you speak truth to power, it bothers some people. And that is the truth. Because this is not a one-sided coin where the developers are the evil stepchild, whatever. Some residents take it upon themselves sometimes to flex their muscles against council. Because I've seen it over the years. And they go and put groups together and try to muster up a group of voters so they can vote against you. And sometimes you have politicians that join in that party because they want to join in because they want to get elected.
Okay. All right, let's move on. We're still on this topic, though.
Okay.
We're still on this topic for a minute because I have another follow-up question for you. Now that we know, as stated, that two of the folks who are running took money from Mr. West and the company in question. So we reviewed it, and like I said at the top, that I'm working on an article. The article is ready to be published. But the individuals took money, and at this point in time, based on what I've researched, there's nothing illegal about it.
No, there's not.
Yeah, okay. And based on what I researched, even they're on the dais, they can't recuse themselves if that comes up for a vote. They have to be there, right? Is that
right? But Kevin, let me explain something to you. Okay, let me break it down to its simplest form, because when it comes developers, okay, when you're running for office, okay, are going to donate to your campaign. Okay, I just gave you a scenario where you have residents that also donate to your campaign, and they donate to your campaign for the same reasons that developers do. Okay, if you're going to check on the developer, you better check on the residents, because the residents try to make their influencers heard too. That the residents try to hear their own, they want to have their case heard too. And if they feel that they have somebody on council that is going to be passionate about voting against a certain project, they're going to donate money too. So what would you call that? What would you call that? The irony of that, what would you call it? What would you call it? The hypocrisy is through the roof, because you sit here and two individuals, okay, Donnie and Randy, prior to this whole thing blowing up, okay, received a donation. They get crucified for receiving a donation that wasn't done illegally. Anybody could donate to your campaign. What happens if you would have donated to my campaign, Kevin, and you got arrested? How do I know?
Mayor, I guess what I'm trying to drive at is this. He now gets arrested. So now we're looking at the optics of it. So I guess the question that a lot of folks have in mind is, now that he gets arrested, and we know that his intentions was not solid, he wanted to bribe these two other folks that I didn't mention.
No, Kevin. I think you're taking it a step too much.
Yes,
okay?
Sir.
Because I mean, you're going alleged versus the reality of it, okay? He made a donation. He made a donation to a campaign, okay? He made a donation to a campaign, and anybody's allowed to make a donation. Just like residents are allowed to make donations to other campaigns too. So it's optics is the key word that you use. It's optics. Does it look good? No. Was there anything illegal? No. Is it going to sway either of those members to vote a certain way? No, because at the end of the day, they have to read the material. The only thing that a person, a developer, from my years of experience, they donate to certain campaigns because they want to have your ear to be able to talk to you. And it happens not at a local level, it happens at the national level. Okay? It happens at the national level, it happens at the state level. This is something that it happens, and what transpired here is that a certain individual was doing something that he wasn't supposed to. And then you deal with it. But to say beyond the optics that Donnie and Randy did something wrong, I think is overreaching. It's overreaching.
I'm not implying that. I'm just
talking. No, but when you say the optics, people, you have passionate people on your,
yes,
on your comments, okay? So when those words are used, people have a tendency to misinterpret that and take it the wrong way. And I want to be clear about that. These two individuals are good people. And for people to take that particular optic and use it for their own political gain, just like videos that have been done on me to talk about distrust and all these different things. I sat here watching all these commercials and I was having fun watching them, okay? Because I would like to put some of those individuals in my shoes to do the job, okay? Or sit and debate them in regards to what they really know, what knowledge do they really have about the city. I mean, look, I've been doing this long enough to know who is telling the truth and who's blowing smoke. I've been doing this long enough to know who's blowing smoke. Okay. And using sound bites in order to please a certain demographic to vote for them. And that's why I was just listening to the commercials, and I was like amused by some of the language, because the transparency is there. Have we switched? Have certain things happened? Yes. Did certain people make mistakes? Yes. But where in life do people don't make mistakes? It's like to error is to be human, and people want to sit there and go into a mode of attack, and like I was telling you before, they want to be judge and jury just because they're passionate about another person getting into office, but not understanding the ramification of their words that they're utilizing. But like I said, we're in an environment that no longer breeds statesmen or stateswomen. It's brutal. It's not for the weak-hearted. It's not for the weak-hearted. For people that come and ask me about politics and that they have an interest in politics, I tell them, if you're married, speak to your wife or husband, okay? And if they give you the okay, go for it. But if your husband or wife is hesitant, do not do it, because what you're going to do is set off a wildfire inside your house, because this business is brutal and it's not for the weak-hearted. And I hear all the sound bites, but nobody's giving true vision, true plan. The city right now is sitting pretty. and you know this, Kevin, because you worked on something I talked to you about, which was the road bonds. I'm listening to the videos, and you worked on that, and you worked on that collectively with Brian Anderson to try to get it passed, and you put a lot of work into that, and I commend you for that. But we had a long discussion about that referendum. So think about it: the northwest of Palm Bay, and other areas of Palm Bay are getting new roads. And if there was no public trust and voters' confidence, why did the road bond pass? Give some thought to that. Okay, if people were so distrusting of my administration, why did they vote for the roads at a 60% clip? Sometimes things become illusions at the end of the day, and just because a small majority of people attack me, that doesn't sway me in any kind of way, because that is the nature of this business. You got to accept the facts, and you have that. You have the interchange, the parkway, which opened. That had a lot of different variables of why it didn't open on time. That has major development to the clip of 1 point in estimate, in looking at the numbers of what could happen at the interchange in the parkway. It has a value tagged to it as $1.6 billion over a 25-year period. That's what that parkway is valued at.
I saw the visionary work of the company that's coming in there, and I'm setting up an interview to bring them on so we can discuss it further at some point. We just haven't set a date yet. And so they'll be appearing on the show. Let's keep going on.
Okay.
I have a question for you in regards to. I noticed you took $1,000 from Republic, and so just clear the air on that for me, please.
That's after the fact, after the vote was all rendered, after everything was all rendered and the votes happened. They called me about, hey, we heard you're running for county commissioner. We would like to donate to your campaign. I said, yes, okay, not a problem. Look, I'm not afraid to be criticized.
Yeah, okay. But I have to ask these questions.
No. I'm fine. People make their own assumptions.
Okay. You received quite a bit of criticism during the financial audit of Palm Bay, the JLAC. You were supposed to go to, well.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't supposed to go. They wanted me to go. They wanted me to go up there because in my eyes, and I'll say it as freely, let me tell you, on the dais, I could be here I could say what I think. To me, it was a charade. Because
initiated by who?
The person that brought it forth. You're trying to make peace, right? So I'm trying to be nice.
All right. Okay,
you did say you want to make peace, right?
Yes, I do.
So let me keep it as clean as possible, okay? Because the reality of the matter is that was an administrative audit. Had nothing to do with the mayor. Okay? They jumped all over the mayor because of a vehicle that was assigned to me. Okay? But there was 164 vehicles that were assigned to police officers and other people within the city. They also weren't kept in good records. If they would have told me the way I needed to keep my records, I would have done it the right way. But I wasn't the only one. But the focus became on the mayor because it pays to get after the mayor. Because it makes for good publicity. Or publicity because at the time maybe the person felt that I may run against them for state representative. So you create an illusion of something that's not there, but you concentrate it all on the mayor. When other things within the JLAC, there were other things that were wrong within the JLAC. But nothing of that was mentioned. Everything was about bringing the mayor up there and then play charades with the mayor. No, I wasn't signing on to that. And if that makes me arrogant, I'll be arrogant. That's life. But you're not going to bring me up there to try to chastise me, because I'm not going to sign on to that.
So how do you respond to the audit findings? How do you, what was your take on the findings that came out of it?
I mean, any city was going to have flaws. Let me tell you, if you were to do an audit on any municipality in Florida, you're going to find flaws, because not everybody's people get accustomed to doing things their way for how many of years. And then somebody comes up with a new way of doing it. And then they come and audit you and they go, wait, yeah, you're not keeping this record right. This needs to be put this way. In a way, it's a blessing into the future for the city, because now the city has a template on how to do things. But before, a lot of the things were being done because that's the way it was being done in the past, because the city had never been audited in that fashion. Yeah, we have an audit. We have a financial audit that we do every year to see if we are financially sound. And we pass with flying colors. But we've never had this type of audit come to the city from an administrative position, because the audit was about how is the city being administered. And then they found 33 that needed to be improved. And that report will go to the state in 2021. I guess by first or second quarter of 2021 is when the report is supposed to be turned in. But understand that it's not, when you are not sitting with all the information, you make a lot of assumptions. And that's the unfairness of this business, but you sign on to it, so you can't cry about it. You accept it and you move on, as this is the business. And I could live with the fact of the decisions that I've made, and I'm okay with it. I strongly believe, Kevin, I'm leaving the city better than I found it.
Okay.
Roads development and everything else. And in life, you got to take the good with the bad. Everybody always wants good. Everybody wants good.
All right, let's go back to COVID for a second. I think one of the things you brought up, the road bond and all of that. If you remember when I came in front of the dais and spoke after the accomplishment, and one of the things that irked me was when I was knocking on doors, a lot of the citizens were saying, listen, we're not hearing from the city. And so what do you think collectively we can do as a city to better communication? Because we are on social media. We see that it's there. The presence is there. We're delivering there. Kudos to that. But one of the things is that the elderly population who is not on social media, they're not being reached.
Right. Radio.
That's one of the keys that I got, a takeaway that I got when I was knocking on doors, is that the elderly population is not being reached. So what can the city do better? What do you think?
That's always been my conversation when it comes to a public relations side. Prior to me, most mayors didn't get on TV. They didn't. It's like if people are afraid of the camera or afraid to speak in front of a camera, I can't answer that question. But that was not how I felt. I felt that we needed to communicate better with the community. Those are conversations that I had with prior city manager, with the acting city manager right now, that we need to improve the way we communicate with the community. We don't only have an elderly community, we have the most diverse community in the county. We have to be able sometimes to be able to communicate with certain areas of the community. Fortunate enough with me is that I'm bilingual. I can speak in English, I can speak in Spanish, I could do interviews in both languages. But not everybody that's going to get elected has that fortune to be able to do that. And we know we have a Haitian community, which is French. Okay, we have Brazilians, Portuguese. We have so many different people that live in this community. It's the reality is we need to be able to communicate better with our community. When we have major events such as hurricanes or now with the pandemic, we need to do a better job as a municipality in communicating with our community. The demand is there. People, I could see Facebook blowing up, and my words were going into deaf ears. And it wasn't just the pandemic, it was the hurricane that we had just gone through in October, because that's when the conversations first started in regards to how do we communicate better with the community.
Do you think the charter needs to be changed? Because so that the communication strategy could be shifted to the mayor, so the mayor could be the one at the forefront delivering the messages.
No. The message is delivered. The charter does stipulate that the mayor is to deliver the message, but it takes the city manager to give the command. So and if the city manager doesn't want to do it, you're one person, one vote on council, unless the rest of council says, hey, city manager, we need to get this done. It doesn't get going. It does not get going. But by charter, the mayor is supposed to be the face of the city, the one that communicates with the city. But if your mayor and your city manager are not in sync in regards to how to communicate with the community, then it's all left to deaf ears. And that's really what was transpiring. There was no vision, not wanting to go that way. I just can't explain why. And if you could see, Palm Bay is not the only player. Melbourne wasn't doing it. West Melbourne wasn't doing it. It was like this whole entire county, to include the county commission, was not communicating in that fashion. But if you watch Orange County, if you watch Volusia County, if you watch Osceola County, I watched all my colleagues be on TV, giving messaging from the very first case. They were talking from the very first case. We were in case number 4, okay, and there was no communication. There was no communication. We were just getting alerts. And it's like, when are we actually going to talk to the public? Oh, and when something important happens. Those were the words that they were using. When something important happens, what does that exactly mean? Somebody has to die before it becomes important? It's not like I wasn't passionate behind the scenes. I was very vocal, but I'm limited by charter on what I could do. And the only thing I was able to do is write a letter, because I'm not afraid to stand alone. Not when it's the right thing to do. I was not going to allow any residents of Palm Bay to die on my watch.
Okay.
It's the thing, Kevin, sometimes I have a very quiet demeanor when I'm not mean-spirited in that fashion, and I just stay quiet, because people are going to think what they're going to think, and you can't change their mind, because they have their own vested interests of why they want to dislike you. They have their own vested interests of why they want to dislike you, and I can't help that you dislike me for whatever reason. That's on you and God, because I know I haven't done anything to you. So how do you know what kind of person I am if you've never spoken to me? But you're making assumptions about me.
All right. We exhaust that topic as far as do you think the state decision to reopen was premature?
To me, it was premature. I think that it's, you sit there and people make decisions when people are still getting sick. Okay, going into phase 3 was a heavy call, because as you could tell, we went into phase 3, events happen, then the president gets sick. And so that means this flu is not, I'm not even out of the woodworks. Flu season is coming on. So it's like playing Russian roulette. You're gonna roll it and you hope for the best. You hope that the amount of deaths that will happen now in the fall season is not to the amount that was happening during the peak of the summer.
Okay, so I watched one of our cities up the road did a mask mandate. Why did Palm Bay not move in that direction?
The mandate should come from the state. In order for it to have teeth, okay, the real teeth, it has to come from the federal government to state and down to the county. Because as you notice, if you mandate, you mandated in Palm Bay. West Melbourne doesn't have it. Melbourne doesn't have it. What do you have? You have a piecemeal. You're really not functioning the essence of what the CDC is asking you to do. If it's going to be mandated, it has to be a federal mandate or a state mandate. It can't just be one city. We're a community of 16 cities and in unincorporated areas. We have to be unified in the decisions that we make. And it seems that we weren't there.
Okay. All right. You answer that. What measures should we take to ensure that a second wave does not occur?
Follow the CDC protocol. When you come to City Hall, when you go into Walmart, or when you go into an eatery, go in with the mask. After you eat, put your mask back on and continue in your daily routines. It sounds simple, okay, but sometimes it's not that simple because people get accustomed to a certain way of life, and there's a new norm in town, and this new norm demands for you to be more responsible, and that's why you have to be very careful, because you could affect a loved one, and once your loved one goes into the hospital, that might be the last time you see that person if they're able to get out. Remember, not everybody's going to receive the medical care the president got. I want people to understand the reality of the commander-in-chief. Commander-in-chief needs to survive no matter what. So everything is going to be expended on him to survive. That's not the same resources that are going to go to the common person. And if you don't have insurance, that's another thing that comes into play. So understanding, if you have pre-existing condition like asthma, diabetes, you're overweight, and so many countless other things, you have to understand that you need to account for yourself and be responsible, because once you go in, very few people come out.
Right.
Very few people are lucky to come out.
And I see that from a personal perspective, because I work in the medical field, and so I read those medical records every day. That's what I do all day, and so I see the danger that lies. Let's move on to county issues. Let's talk about the emergency management system. Do you believe the emergency management system should be shifted to the sheriff's office?
In first look, no. I would say no. They would have to. He would have to explain to me why. Why? I mean, the way is encompassed. I'd rather have, even though the decision, as I heard, is going to come to the full commission, but I understand politics in Brevard County, and so okay, no, because you're going to have to explain to me why. And I want to see the reason. I think that having experts on there, I believe the sheriff's responsibility is to police the county and police during major events. And when it comes to a pandemic, I want to hear from doctors and scientists, because that is not Sheriff Ivy's expertise. I'm not going to put my health on his shoulders when I have doctors and scientists that could explain to me better. I just wouldn't sign on to that unless there's a complete explanation of why.
Okay. All right. Off the cuff question for you. Do you believe in defunding the police?
No. That's the funny part of how can you have a lawless society? This doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
There's no way to defund the police. You need public safety. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's many ways to work with the police department and work with your community to keep peace in your community, and for police to be good stewards and residents to be good stewards in your community. But defunding the police, that doesn't make any sense. You're going to start a lawless society, and that's not what we sign on to.
Okay. We're moving on to infrastructure. You list infrastructure as one of your top priorities if elected, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What will you do to improve infrastructure in Brevard County or in our district?
I have to sit with the county manager, see if what worked in Palm Bay could work in the county. You know, it's very hard when people don't see that the general fund is not going to get us there. And you have to look at other ways to meet the needs of your community and be open to new ideas, because the same old way hasn't gotten you to the place you want to get to. So we have to come up with something new. And that's why in looking at the development of business and bringing more revenue in, that's why I was stressing NASA and focusing on NASA a lot, to bring other businesses into the area, to be able to spin off small businesses that support those businesses. So it's a vision. It's a vision that could be accomplished. I think that we were visionaries in this area back in the late 60s. And we could continue as we did into the 70s and 80s with the shuttle. And now there's going to come the next step of what NASA could do for this area. And I think we could capitalize on that. And the people in the EDC, Linda Weatherman, she does a great job in attracting business with the resources that she has. So I have confidence that if we're able to concentrate on those things and become a spokesperson, I'm there to sign up. It's just like anything. As mayor, I was able to help FIT with bringing in some economic development money from the EDA, the grant for the Advanced Manufacturing and Innovation Design, CATMID in Palm Bay. We were able to secure $1.4 million from the EDA for FIT. I don't know if you have visited the CATMID building in Palm Bay. I think you should go there and introduce yourself. Say, Mayor Capote told me to come and see what you guys are doing here. So that complete process, the grant was the one who started that, and then the city put in $300,000, the state put money, county put money, and so there's something positive in Palm Bay happening. So that's part of having visions.
Let's move on to economic development. We're coming close to the end of the questioning, sir.
Yeah, I know. It's 9 o'clock.
Yes,
that
sir.
Goes quick.
Of CRAs. What do you think about CRAs?
CRAs are geared to help blighted areas. If it's managed correctly, it works. Okay. We had ours, and now it's coming to sunset. And just because the passion of certain commissioners didn't want us to have, and certain council members don't support CRAs, but I think CRAs are good for blighted areas, and if they're managed correctly, it accomplishes its purpose. But the whole attack on CRAs has been because certain areas in Florida were abusive of their CRAs. So as a mission from state legislators, they went after CRAs and they did a whole blanket party on every single one of them. And it came to a head here in this county because you have certain commissioners that are anti-CRAs. You have some sitting council people that are not pro-CRAs. So you had to come in an agreement to kind of sunset it. And that's what happens. But if in its true essence, if the CRA is managed correctly, it has helped in certain communities, especially in communities that are urban setting, because that's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to generate and fix an area and keep the money in that area in order to make that area spur new businesses, fix its infrastructure, and so on. But sometimes, people think different. CRAs now, majority, because of the new environment of elected officials, is going to become a dinosaur. It's a thing of the past. So people are moving on.
How will you incentivize new business for Brevard County, for our district? How will you get that in?
I mean, that you work together with the EDC. That's part of the Economic Development Commission. Like I said, I've sat on that board representing it for the city of Palm Bay. So I'm very familiar with the structure and the work that, like I said, Linda Weatherman and those people at the EDC do. So it's not like I'm walking blind into the position of commissioner. I've been doing this long enough that I didn't just stay around Palm Bay. I sat on boards in Orange County representing the Space Coast. I was the former president of the Space Coast League. I've sat on the Growth Management Florida League of City Commission, chaired that. I sit on the board of directors for the Florida League of Mayors. I sat on the U.S. Conference of Mayors boards for HUD. I've done a lot of work. I put a lot of time in. I put a lot of time in as mayor and became heavily involved with the things that I was doing. It's just that at times when you don't toot your own horn, people think that you're just taking a vacation, but you're not. I never took a vacation. I was always working. Trying to rub elbows with the big cities when I was at the federal level. And that's why I was able to bring that money to FIT and that NSL building to have it retrofitted to what they have there now. Is because of the contacts that I made, the relationships that I built at the national scene, because of my involvement with the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And that wasn't happening before with elected mayors in the city of Palm Bay. I mean, people take it for whatever, but when President Obama called, when his representatives called the city to invite me to the White House, okay, when the ladies at City Hall answered the phone, they thought that somebody was joking around, because the office of the president had never called the city of Palm Bay. And the president wanted me to come up there for my involvement with the advanced manufacturing innovations. So because I sat on the board of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, 21 mayors were invited up there, and I was one of them. And we were toured. They had a advanced manufacturing show in the White House, and we were privy to all of that. And I was invited by the Governor Scott, to Tallahassee, to the mansion, to talk policy. So it's when, again, I don't toot my own horn, but you're asking me a question, so I'm responding to you. Okay.
I appreciate that, sir. Let me ask you this. I think we're winding up now. What are your plans for the Indian River Lagoon?
To work on getting it fixed. The reality now, they're taking steps now, because I've heard the discussion of now any new development, make sure that it's not septic, that we have sewer, and any septic system around the Indian River Lagoon, change it out. I was having those discussions in 2010 when they passed an ordinance to restrict the use of fertilizer in the month of rainy season. And everybody was talking about rainy season fertilizer. And I said, hold on, guys. I don't vote for stuff just to make it feel good. You're going after the low-hanging fruit. The reality is that we should be implementing something right now about the septic system. And if not, go back to around 2010 when the discussion was being had on city council, because it started at the county. And then the county started signing every other city. And I wasn't signing on to something that was just about making me feel good, and you're not really attacking the problem. Imagine if 10 years ago we would have dealt with septic systems, but we chose not to. So it's about being passionate and giving your opinion when your opinion needs to be heard. I said that back 10 years ago, that we needed to deal with the septic system. The septic system has a bigger impact on the Indian River Lagoon than just the fertilizer. It's not like not put restriction on certain uses of fertilizer. Granted, yes, that needed, but it wasn't just a one thing. You also needed to deal with the septic system.
Okay. All right, Mayor, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I'm going to ask you to give your closing remarks. I need you to talk about your accomplishments. I think we mentioned it at the top, but what do you think your greatest accomplishments in the city of Palm Bay, and as mayor, and
wow.
And all that good stuff. But give your closing remarks. Give your home speech as to why you should be voted into the, on the dais for the county commission, and let the residents know. So I'll give you the screen.
I said to the residents of District 5 in Brevard County, I'm Mayor William Capote. I'm looking for your vote on November 3rd. Not only on November 3rd, I know that early voting already started by mail, and the next early voting portion of it by mail started already. The early voting starts the 19th through the 31st, and I am humbled to ask for your vote. If you are happy with the current commissioner, then vote for the current commissioner. But if you're looking for something different, just like I said back when I ran for mayor, you should vote for me. I'm going to bring the passion that I brought to the city of Palm Bay to the county. And you're always going to know that you're going to get a passionate commissioner that thinks on his feet, thinks for himself, and get things done. Sometimes, in like I say, in love and war, nobody wins. But the reality here is that we have a county that could be a beacon at the national stage, and I want to be part of that process and be able to tell my ideas and sit down with the county manager and staff at the county level and see where we could go. So again, vote for me on November 3rd through the whole process of this election.
Awesome, sir. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a good conversation.
Yes,
like
sir.
I said, it's life.
Yes, sir. All right, Palm Bay, next week, the 13th, I will have Commissioner Tobiah on the platform, and I will have on the same day, on the 13th, I will have Mr. Phil Moore at 8 p.m. So Commissioner Tobiah will be at 4 p.m. and Mr. Phil Moore will be at 8 p.m. So 2 interviews in one day. So I have a package ended that day. So please join me on the 13th for that 4 p.m. So if you get off work early and you just tune in, just go ahead and tune in, and If you want to send questions for both individuals, please email palmbaylive@gmail.com. That's palmbaylive@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Have a good night, Palm Bay.
Bye, Kevin.